We haven't got time for me to wow you with some amazing hook during the intro to this video because there's too much to cover. So please just imagine I said a witty joke that got your attention so we can crack on and do this video comparing 4 very similar printers so you can decide which one is right for you. In fact, you already know this, it said this in the title and thumb for the video. Sorry, I've wasted your time already. Last time, I promise. Now technically, I'd already done this when I compared the M7 Pro with the Saturn IV Ultra. Then, Anycubic surprise released the M7. Now, I need to do what I did last year and compare all 4. They all have great features, but they also all have their own crosses to bear. I'll cover both of those on all of them and what that means to you practically. Hi, I'm Ross and this is FauxHammer Videos. Okay, as I said, let's crack on. If I go too fast, please rewind the video and watch that bit again. We're starting externally. We've got the looks. I like all of them. My favourite is the Saturn IV because the green stands out. That's a personal thing. You do you. The Elegoo machines are more techy and the Anycubics are a little more professional. The Saturns have up and over lids, the Anycubics have lift-off lids. I prefer the former, but they take up more vertical space and need more depth on your worktop when they're open. The Anycubics still need space above to lift the lid off, but are more cumbersome as you need to find somewhere to put that lid when working internally, and that takes up the same footprint as the whole printer again. Ports wise, both Anycubic machines have internal transformers with a power socket and switch on the back. Elegoo has external transformers and the input is on the back right side of the machine. The M7s have secondary power switches on the front, the Saturns don't. I prefer Anycubic's way. USB ports are all on the right hand side, but Anycubic put theirs near the front and Elegoo put them near the back, and I think that's another tick for Anycubic. All printers, bar the basic Saturn, have Wi-Fi. The Ultra has its antenna on the back right side with the rest of the ports. Anycubic puts theirs on the rear. Again, Anycubic are doing the more sensible things. And to take it even further, Anycubic have a removable plate on the base in case you need to access the motherboard and perform repairs. Servicing is something I wish more brands would put thought into, but they don't. All of the machines have extraction vent holes. Elegoo has put theirs on the rear chassis, and these are pretty standard size holes. You can also mount one of Elegoo's heaters here, or connect these to the Mars Mate, a device I just do not recommend. But you've got options. Now, I do prefer the placement of Anycubic's vent hole, which is in the rear chassis, and it sucks fumes out through a grate, but I've got no idea what I can attach here because the connection looks rather proprietary, and I don't yet know of a device that exists for this. One other notable external port is on the M7 printers. There's an RJ11 port for connecting the resin pump, a device I personally hate, but this device comes as standard with the Pro and is an optional extra on the normal M7. If you want to see why I don't like these, check out my M7 Pro review, but TLDR, slow, messy, and limited to Anycubic bottles. Inside the machine, let's start with the build plates. All print surfaces are lovely for adherence. It's the shape and functions of the plate that differ between them. Elegoo's plates are 2-tiered, which is part of the not auto-leveling features I'll explain in a mo. This gap in the plate is a pain in the arse to clean out, and if you aren't patient and don't clean it, resin will drip everywhere when you transfer it to a desk. And there's no grip on the top, it's slippy. I've actually dropped my Saturn IV Ultra plate onto a brand new PFA film and tore a hole in it. And I'm lucky I didn't break the screen. Also, just in case these come and they're not perfectly parallel to the screen when you get them, you can't really adjust them much. So if you do have an issue, you need to do what a few people have done now and get a replacement from Anycubic after dancing through their testing hoops. Far more people have success with these than those who have issues, but that's just a situation as it is. I'd still be happy to take the risk, and this gap isn't enough to put me off the printers, but it pisses me off at the same time. I hope we never see this design again. The Anycubic build plates are more traditional, with screws on the sides in case you need to adjust them. This mechanism has served us well for years. I have nothing bad to say about it. It's better than the Elegoo plate. It's far better than the Elegoo plate. But I do prefer Elegoo's latch connection rather than Anycubic's big spinning bolt. Going down the Z rail, all of the machines have lead screws and dual linear rails. Now, when we come to the Vats, this is where we've got a few differences, and God, where to begin? Right, the Anycubic Vats are bigger and are both able to hold a 1,000 gram bottle of resin, which I think is the minimum any 10-inch printer vat should hold. In the plus column for the Elegoo Vats, however, they have decent, though oddly shaped, pour spouts where the M7s just let resin run down the side and under the vat, which, well, come on guys, it's a spout. Make this better. Right, so let's split the Saturn IV and M7. These have just basic vats, but I'll talk about release film on them in a mo because they're different. But let's just move on, okay? They're basic vats on these two printers. The M7 Pro has a vat with an integrated heater. Please see the review for all of the details on how this works and my justification for the following statement. I don't like it. It's messy, and I feel it's way over-engineered, and I also find it's quite limiting, as I explained in my M7 versus M7 Pro video. I guess either trust me verbatim or go and watch both of those videos. I'm not covering it again here. I don't want to waste your time covering everything I've already covered if you already know you don't care about these particular machines. The Saturn IV Ultra vat is also, well, normal on its own. It's the same as the Saturn IV vat, but the difference in the vat area is that it sits on a tilting release mechanism. Again, I'm going to say please watch my Saturn IV Ultra video for the full breakdown on everything this does that makes it so great. But basically, this peels away the film from the resin at an edge rather than a perpendicular lift directly upwards. This reduces pull forces, which can speed up the time between each layer. The Anycubic printers are advertising super fast speed, but one of the ways they achieve this is with frosty ACF release film, where both Saturn printers use crystal clear PFA. And the other way the Anycubics get fast prints is by using low viscosity fast resins, which are typically kind of crap. But talking about ACF release film, all of my M7 videos and the M5S videos before it have proven, to me at least, that ACF film reduces detail in prints. It softens the edges. It's a small difference, but it's there. Now, thankfully, you can just replace the ACF of Anycubic printers with PFA pretty easily. It's a bit of a faff, but you can do it. You need to replace release films anyway, but you can change it, and it's quite cheap to do. And if you do that, you'll get the same print quality as the Saturns, but at the same time, you'll lose the advertised speeds. What many M5S users did was buy a second vat, so they have one with PFA installed and one with ACF installed. You don't need to go and find a PFA vat, it's just the film's the only thing that's different, so buy a normal vat and install PFA yourself if you want to do it. But by having two vats with different films in, it lets you choose between detail and speed whenever you want the different option. And you can still do that here. It's just another reason the M7 Pro vat isn't favoured by me is the price of that vat is huge compared to the normal M7 vat because you have to buy it with the pump heater device attached. Now, you can fit the normal M7 vat on the M7 Pro, but then you lose the heating function. So all of that is a long and detailed way of saying, if you're looking at these machines and deciding between them based on quality, here's the breakdown. Out of the box, the Saturns are sharper. The Anycubics can pretty much match this if you switch from ACF to PFA film, whatever way you choose to do it. But if you use PFA film, you lose the speed of these printers. Anycubic are only able to advertise their speeds and quote them on the website because they use ACF film and fast resins in all of their tests. The Saturn IV Ultra is fast and sharp out of the box, and so far in my testing, that's been with every resin I've thrown at it. So Saturn IV is sharp, not fast. Anycubics are fast, not sharp. You can remove the speed and equal the sharpness. The Saturn IV Ultra is fast and sharp. However, and I hope you can't notice that this was an additional statement thrown in after my initial recording because I didn't know about it when the reviews came out, one thing where Anycubic printers have a huge plus in my book is with their dynamic lift height feature, or intelligent release as they call it. With this feature, both M7 printers along with the M7 Max, and I expect all future machines, can detect when the release film has a release from each layer due to the reduced pull forces on the build plate, which means instead of wasting time lifting and retracting to some arbitrary value we set because that's what everyone else uses, when it detects the release, it will immediately stop and lower to cure the next layer. And I've got a separate video on this, how it works, how to get it working and test it yourself, but this feature, this awesome feature, is a mark in the win column for Anycubic as it can remove more hassle from the user, and yes, it does speed up prints on a more balanceable build platform than the Elegoo. Okay, let's have a look at the UIs. The Saturn IV is very basic but functional. Again, more details on that are in the review. The Ultra has a more powerful motherboard and has a more feature-rich UI. Specifically, it's got a built-in multi-exposure test that you can run, and I've got a separate video on that function linked in the description of this video. The Anycubic printers can do a similar thing called an RERF, or Resin Exposure Rangefinder test, but their way is a bit janky and limited in comparison to the way Elegoo have now implemented it. Again, I've got a separate video on that too. Though, another however, which once again is a last minute thrown in addition, Anycubic have recently shown me a screenshot of updates to their firmware, which I'm sorry I can't actually share with you at the moment, but what this shows me is that they are going to add more directly controllable elements to their exposure test feature in the UI, basically in a similar vein to what Elegoo are showing. And not only is this addition fantastic, but it's actually the first time in memory that I've seen one of these brands improve a printer after release, rather than just release the printer and forget about it bar bugs until the next version. And that's a great sign that Anycubic are really stepping up. Anyway, back to whatever else I was just about to say in this video. As for the rest of the Anycubic UI, I do generally prefer this. Not only does it have the quick access buttons down the left hand side, everything is just better laid out with more technical detail presented, such as visual displays of pull forces. However, it's not as well translated in some places. You know what things do, but words are often very translated English rather than native English. However, in saying that, I do actually prefer the Saturn's screen during prints because progress and remaining time is much clearer. And when something's printing, that's what I want to know more than anything else. How long until it's done? I should be able to see that from across the room. Whilst this is better, I also don't like the portrait orientation of the screens. I prefer the horizontal orientation of the Anycubics, but I also had more issues on both Anycubic machines where it wouldn't register some button presses unless I pressed it several times or pressed it really hard. So that's a lot of the directly comparative stuff, but what makes these printers stand out individually? Well, the Saturn IV is the most basic machine, and what you've seen is all you get. The M7's extra feature is that it comes with an internal USB-powered carbon filter, which doesn't do much, but it does a bit to reduce smells and fumes. The Saturn IV Ultra has a webcam. This makes time lapses, but it's also a bit crap because there's no light other than the one in your room, which is usually the opposite side of the print to the camera, so all you get is silhouettes, and this is useless at nighttime. It apparently has AI features to detect fails, but I see no value in this when other printers can detect that with force sensitivity. I do really like the time-lapse feature, I just wish they included a light so this was actually functional. So please, do this next time, Elegoo, just do it better. The M7 Pro's standout features are its resin refill pump and its equally messy, weird heater thing. None of the other printers come with a heater, but you can get the Anycubic Heat and Pure, which I'm 99% certain will fit in the M7, and because it's less messy and cumbersome, I actually prefer it over the M7 Pro pump heater. And the Saturns have the Elegoo heater, which attaches to the outlet port. This is also a carbon filter and circulates the warm air in the chamber, but it's limited to a fixed 25 degrees Celsius. When it comes to software, all of the machines are compatible with the usual Lychee and Chitu box, and in the case of all of them but the normal Saturn IV, they have Wi-Fi features. For the 4 Ultra, this means in Chitu box you can send prints remotely, even start them remotely, watch the progress, access the files on the printer, and download time lapses. Anycubic can do all this too, but with more detail and more natively using the Anycubic Photon Workshop application, which has come on leaps and bounds. What's also handy is that Anycubic has their cloud and app, which means all of this progress and history can also be checked on your phone. You even get notifications when prints start and end, or if there's errors mid-print. It's a great handy addition that Elegoo doesn't have, but really should by now. So anyway, I think that's it in terms of all the differences and similarities. I suspect you may be more lost now than when you started. Let me break this down in order of current price. And I say current price because by the time it comes to edit this video and grab the prices from the pages, they'll likely have changed already. All of these prices are changed frequently, so make sure you check them alongside this comparison to see if the feature difference is worth the price difference to you. I've put affiliate links in the description of this video which will take you straight to those product pages, and I could do with you clicking them because I can only afford to run this channel through your support of me making my commission payments on sales of the printers. They are at no cost to you, it's just a relative kickback from the brand to me when I sell their printers. So thank you in advance for using those. Here's the breakdown. The Saturn IV is the most basic machine out of the box. It has the sharpest prints along with the Saturn IV Ultra. The crutch with this one is that you cannot apply anti-aliasing, and that function is necessary if you want to remove the voxel lines from your prints. You can work around this by using the older version of Chitu box, but this being the case suggests that either Chitu Systems or Elegoo have artificially restricted this feature for some random reason. If you want to know more on this, you actually need to check out my Mars 5 review and the comparison video of the Mars 5 with the Mars 5 Ultra, because that's when I learned about this dumbass issue that just shouldn't exist. The Saturn IV Ultra, to me, is the real sweet spot. Yeah, you don't have the sexy phone app, some of the UI isn't as nice, but let's be fair, the reason most of us want printers is for the best prints, and this does sharp prints out of the box, and it's fast, using pretty much any resin with no detail loss. Both Anycubics are fast, but if you want sharpness, you need to switch to PFA release film, and you're going to end up losing the speed. The basic M7, I think, is the best of the Anycubics in terms of value. I just struggle to justify the price difference for what amounts to a resin pump and a heater. But if you're happy to use these devices, maybe you're only ever going to use one type of resin, so it doesn't matter, then yeah, go for it. It's a good, efficient way to heat resin. It just seems messy. I personally don't like it, but you do you. That's what these videos are about. I would much rather just get the M7 over the M7 Pro and add the heater that I want to add. I'd also swap the ACF release film for PFA, but if I'm doing that, why wouldn't I just get a Saturn IV? I'd really need to hate the build plate on a Saturn IV so much that it'd put me off buying it, and whilst I know some people do, in my case, yes, it can be annoying and it isn't as accurate on those base layers as a flat plate like from the Anycubics, but I print everything pre-supported anyway, and I want high quality, fast out of the box. This does that for me. But on the other hand, whilst Elegoo have stepped forward in the race of, hey, here's a new technology with the tilting release, we've also got to be aware that those screen swaps on those machines take an age, because you've actually got to strip down the full machine and then some in order to just swap a simple component that's a consumable on these machines. When you also consider that the Anycubic machines have dynamic lift height and the cloud features for early warning failure detection with notifications on your phone, I can understand they're nice to have as well, but because I've got extraction, I'm in the same room as my machines. I personally don't need that, but you do you. I would honestly love to have made this video and just gone, hey, this is the one you should get. But the further we get into 3D printing, the closer these brands kind of get, and also the more nuanced divergences they have. The facts are now that these printers are capable of the same print quality. Yes, you've got to jump through hoops on one, and on the other one it's more out of the box. But there are some important ancillary features around this which kind of make it more difficult to easily go, get this one, and it really is down to a personal choice. But all of this is about to be upended, because right as I'm about to release this video, and yeah, this is another last minute addition, Elegoo are about to drop the Saturn 4 Ultra 16K. And of course I'm going to have a review up for that very, very soon, so hit subscribe so you don't miss that. Please let me know, which one did you pick and why? It's more than fine to pick something different to me. My needs and your needs are not the same, so please help me keep in touch with your needs by dropping a comment below the video telling me which one you've got with your reasoning. If this video or my series of videos did help you, please support me by using my affiliate links, and I'll make sure to put any offer codes I get at different times on the main review videos for each printer, so click the links to watch that video to get those codes. It's just too much of a mess around to try and keep all the videos about these printers updated with codes. Anyway, thanks for watching, and thanks to our members who are on screen now. Please consider signing up and get early access, exclusive videos, and Discord member roles too. Until next time, they call it a Royale with cheese. FauxHammer out.